Who is Bill Pearl? Bill Pearl is an American bodybuilder, okay, and also an American fitness coach and an American gym owner and an American, he's an all-around fitness personality. Okay, he was born in 1930. He is now 91 years old. Okay, he was born on Halloween. That's pretty cool. Okay, his height is between 5'9" and 5'10", and his weight obviously is between 201 and 242. That's probably competing versus not competing. Okay, his biography. He was born in Oregon. He enlisted in the U.S. Navy, went to San Diego Naval Air Station. He worked at Leo Stern's gym. Leo Stern is another famous bodybuilder. Leo Stern himself coached Pearl in his training and encouraged him to compete in 1952. He won a number of titles. I'm not going to get into that because that's not what inspired me about him. So this isn't what inspired me about him either, but it's very interesting. So Pearl became a vegetarian in 1939. His diet is lacto-ovo-vegetarian, which means he eats eggs and dairy products. Pearl mentions the benefits of vegetarian bodybuilding in his book, Getting Stronger. That's a little thing with his family tree there. I don't know who's interested in that, or this is the first time I ever saw something like that in Wikipedia. This is his bodybuilding titles. Anybody can look him up and find his bodybuilding titles, but this is what he's won. Okay? So as you can see, he is a very well-accomplished bodybuilder. Now, this is his books. This is what inspired me. Now, this book, where is it? Keys to the Inner Universe. This book will show you practically every load-bearing exercise you could possibly imagine for every part of the body, including different ways to do those exercises so that you're hitting the muscle at multiple angles. It even includes conditioning of the neck, which is not present in a lot of modern bodybuilding manuals. And in the back, it covers vitamins and minerals and what's a safe dose, what's normal dose, what's an overdose, things like that. Very interesting book. He's been in Pearls of Wisdom, which is something about him, I assume. I never watched it. And this is him and Dave Draper did a seminar that's 75 minutes long. His external links, and I'm going to get into that later. There's that's funny, they don't have his official website. That's interesting. So I wanted to show an example of Bill Pearl's vegetarian diet versus his meat-centered diet. The story goes that he had gotten a test at work that showed his blood cholesterol, his LDL cholesterol was through the roof. And because of that, he switched to a lacto-ovo-vegetarian diet when he was 39 years old. And this is an example of his regular meat-centered diet. So for breakfast, he would have tomato juice with brewer's yeast and two of the following: eggs fried in butter or corn oil, whole grain toast with butter, milk with Hoffman protein powder. Bob Hoffman is a famous manufacturer of barbells, and he wrote a number of books. I've never read any of Hoffman's books, but that's just so people know that Bob Hoffman is a famous weightlifter, more like powerlifting type of lifts. Oatmeal with raisins, honey and milk, wheat germ cereal with milk and honey, pancakes, waffles, French toast, 1/2 pound of broiled ground beef, liver cooked in butter or corn oil, cheese or a cheese omelet, lunch, meat, beef, chicken, fish, or ham, or protein shake, large salad consisting of green vegetables, avocados, cheese, or hot soup, dinner similar to lunch. Bill liked meat, as was clear from his old way of eating, and this is something I want people to understand. Bill Pearl switched his diet for health reasons. I became a vegan for ethical reasons. People need to understand that bodybuilders and regular people like me, I'm a regular person, I'm not a bodybuilder, but people, what they tend to do is they tend to switch to a vegetarian diet either for health reasons or they switch to a vegetarian diet for, ethical reasons. And people go, oh, well, you must not like meat, or you must miss bacon, or you must miss this, or you must miss that. Yeah, some people do like the taste of meat. Okay, but the problem is, meat is not, meat doesn't like everybody. Okay, Bill Pearl had a bad experience with meat that wrecked his health. As for me, I think it's unethical to consume meat. So that's, that's where it goes. It's not that you don't like the taste of meat. It's that, meat is incompatible with either your way of thinking or with your health. His vegetarian bulking routine. So this is the bulking routine. So this is a lot more food than normal. So 6 or 7 eggs, removing yolks from 3 or 4 eggs. A generous portion of fresh fruit and raw vegetables. Lunch would be similar to breakfast. Dinner would be a meat substitute such as tofu, tempeh, soy, etc. Fresh vegetables, raw or cooked. Fruit would be cantaloupe, watermelon, or honeydew. Snack, 14 ounces of protein powder consumed throughout the day. As regards food groups, Pearl focused on vast quantities of eggs, dairy, legumes, lentils, and fresh fruits and vegetables to fuel his physique. Pearl would aim to hit roughly 3,500 calories a day when bulking and roughly 2,500 calories when preparing for a contest, below being Pearl's contest prep diet. Okay, so his contest prep diet, you'll see there's a lot less food. So 3 poached eggs, some low-fat cottage cheese, fruit. Lunch would be homemade soup, lentils, beans, cabbage, carrots, tomatoes, celery, and onions. Dinner would be an omelet or a big salad. You remember I posted that about Elaine with the big salad from Seinfeld. And a diet soft drink. Notice he's consuming a diet soft drink. This knocks the calories down more than a regular soft drink, and it gives you the flavor of a soft drink. A lot of people need to understand that for the vast majority of people, diet soda is perfectly safe. There's some people that may have a situation, but those people have an allergy and an inability to process a certain amino acid called phenylalanine. Did it work for him? I think it's obvious that it did. While Pearl had won the majority of his bodybuilding titles prior to his conversion to vegetarianism, the above diet saw him emerge victorious in the 1971 Mr. Universe contest against fellow bodybuilding legends Reg Park, Frank Zane, and Sergio Oliva. Reg Park, now people that don't know who Frank Zane is like the most well-defined bodybuilder ever, besides maybe Vince Gironda. So the fact that he defeated Frank Zane is quite an accomplishment. Okay, on a personal level too, Pearl found himself much happier and healthier eating a vegetarian diet, later revealing in an interview that when he changed this is him talking, when I changed my diet over, I had less and less joint problems. All the poisons found in your system, such as uric acid, is going to be stored in the joints of the body if it can't be expelled through the kidneys or liver. I think you'll have less and less joint problems the longer you're off red meats, especially gland meats like liver, okay? He said, I am really against organ meats, such as liver. I think it is one of the worst foods you can consume in my opinion. Listen to your body. Whilst Pearl was achieving great things on a meat-based diet, it was having adverse effect overall on his health. Similarly, his move to vegetarianism removed several small health issues he was having. By listening to his body and not being afraid to experiment, Pearl was able to find a diet that suited him. This is linked in the description, just so you know. This is engravediron.com, so feel free to follow the link in the description to read this yourself. So I wanted to point this out to people that don't grasp. Being that Bill Pearl is a bodybuilder and works out at least 3 times a week as a bodybuilder, still, He narrowly escaped death in a lawn mowing accident. He collects riding mowers, tractors, things of that nature, but he would not have survived this if he was not a bodybuilder, did not have the physique and power of a bodybuilder. So, 91-year-old bodybuilding legend Bill Pearl narrowly avoided a catastrophe after falling and getting trapped under a lawnmower. As a top athlete during the 1950s and 60s, bodybuilding legend Bill Pearl reached incredible heights while competing as an IFBB pro while enjoying retirement. Bill was recently a victim of a brutal lawn mowing accident. Sounds like the lawnmower attacked him. That almost resulted in his death. Okay. According to recent Facebook posts, Bill fell off his Craftsman lawnmower, blah, blah, blah. I had posted this to tell people to keep Bill in their thoughts because it was, it's obviously concerning that this happens to somebody. There was a Facebook statement posted. It said, this was his wife that wrote this, I think. It says, to all our Facebook friends, a personal announcement. The article I just posted was prepared by Bill on Tuesday morning. It had rained the night before, but the sun had come out, and he decided to go up the hill and mow around the barn. He was using the smaller Craftsman riding mower and had got stuck on a squirrel mound, so he put it in reverse to back off of it, and it kind of jumped, and being close to an embankment, rolled over the edge and came to rest against Bill and the barn on top of Bill's back. It was working. It was his wife. I was working in the house and realized I hadn't heard the mower in a while, and walked up the hill to check on him. When I first saw the mower upside down on him, and him under, I panicked and ran the rest of the way, fearing the worst. He was conscious, but totally pinned face down in the grass. She had to leave him, call 911, After x-rays, a CAT scan, a neurologist determined that he had a compression fracture of his T10 vertebra, among other things. He was scheduled for surgery the next day. He endured 6 hours of a very complicated surgery, and praise the Lord, he is resting uncomfortably in the hospital and should be home in a few days. It may be a while till he can sit at a computer again, but he'll be back. They said, we have friends and family to thank for their prayers and good wishes, and they are grateful. So keep in mind, just keep him in your thoughts. I'm sure he's fine now, but keep him in your thoughts. But that's amazing to have somebody 91 years old that's mowing the lawn, let alone has a riding mower flip over on them, survives it, and not only that, but takes the surgery and, what have you. So, that's amazing, and that's the kind of health benefits that bodybuilding, old school bodybuilding, will give a person, okay? So, this is another bodybuilder named Steve Green. He calls himself the Iron Vegan. And he helped with the creation of Bill's book, Keys to the Inner Universe. And he's going to go over a little bit what's in Keys to the Inner Universe. And in my opinion, everybody that's into exercise and fitness absolutely needs to own this book. It's an expensive book, but everybody needs this book on their bookshelf if they are committed to exercise for health reasons. So let's see what this gentleman has to say. I'm not going to play this whole thing, but you can find it. His name is, he goes by Iron Vegan. His name's Steve Green. He's another bodybuilder, and he was personal friends with Pearl. So let's see what he has to say.
Well, hello everybody. Steve Green here with you again for another talk. And I'm behind the camera today because I want to share with you some memorabilia, specifically today, a book called Keys to the Inner Universe. Bill Pearl's Keys to the Inner Universe. World's Best Built Man. The most complete and comprehensive volume ever published on bodybuilding, representing the knowledge gained from 30 years teaching and training bodybuilders, fully illustrated with complete text
Now, before I get into this, actually, what I want to point out, Bill Pearl, like I said, at the time, there are people before Bill Pearl, especially things like people, well, about the same time, actually, people like Frank LaLanne, or not Frank LaLanne, Jack LaLanne, Paul Bragg, and people prior to that, like Bernard McFadden, and people prior to that, like John Harvey Kellogg and Ellen G. White, that were promoting this physical culture for total health movement. So that might be one of the reasons Bill Pearl felt comfortable switching to a vegetarian diet. But also what you have to understand, Bill Pearl was not just a bodybuilder. Bill Pearl was a strongman. Bill Pearl would do the things like blow up water bottles until they explode, the rubber water bottles, and he would, pick things up and put them down, things of that nature. So he was an authentic strongman, like Eugene Sandow or Arthur Saxon. He was not just a bodybuilder. He was beyond a bodybuilder. So keep that in mind too.
The keys to bodybuilding and strength are revealed through this one volume. Okay, that's what it says down here in the text. Now, Bill Pearl, and forgive me for any awkwardness here in the filming, because I got the tripod and the camera between me and the bench right here, so I can get things up closer. I tried doing it another way, but I was too far away. Okay, so here is a photograph of Bill Pearl, four-time overall Mr. Universe winner, NABBA, the National Amateur Bodybuilding Association. And of course, when he wrote this book, this was 30 years ago. That's why it said 30 years of teaching. He's been in the game longer than I have, for sure. But anyway, this is Bill Pearl, a very famous bodybuilder, if you're not aware of him. And I trained at Bill's Pasadena Health Club for about 10 years. The latter half of that time, I trained with Bill personally on he had different guys wanted to train with him over time. Some pretty famous guys would come in, and if he had enough for just one crew, like 2 or 3 of us, we'd all train together. If there were more than that at a particular time, famous bodybuilders visiting his gym, he'd split it up into a couple crews, but we'd still be working together on the same exercises. But as you can see, Bill had an incredible build. His triceps were one, and his arms and delts. I mean, that picture says 1,000 words, so I don't need to say much here. But this was a picture of Bill back when he was around 39, 40 years old, I believe. In fact, I have I've always been into photography. I have the negative of this picture right here. Had a bunch of these made up years ago. I think Bill wanted some too, or something, so we put some together. Oh, and I wanted to show you, before I get into the book, this is one of Bill's training cards. When you joined his gym, he would fill this out. It was numbered 1 through 17, and had a place for your body weight, your name, and this was triceps, biceps, leg extensions, abdominals, and the reps and sets down this side. 5 sets of 10 reps, for example. And let's see. Okay, this is when I was doing a split routine with him. Chest, delts, back. We did abdominals and lower abs and things like that every day. And so this is what Bill's old cards look like. He had a place in the back for age, height, weight, neck, arms. I mean, he was pretty thorough. And when I opened my gym,
Note that it is important to log your progress, whether it's progress for performance, progress with the vital signs like blood pressure, heart rate, etc., or if it's progress like the size of the different body parts you're hitting.
1980 Globe Gym, I modeled after his card here and had some printed up similarly for my gym, which unfortunately I don't have. I got rid of a lot of stuff. Yeah, well, memorabilia, I'll talk about that in another talk. I mean, Bill's book is part of it, but I wanted to give his book a separate session here. I had a box of magazines, Strength and Health, Iron Man.
That is a total textbook on weight training, just to let people know. You have to actually read the book to understand how detailed, how excellent that book is. But this gentleman's going to get into it.
And muscular development going back to 1968, and I had 68, 78. I mean, I had 15 years of these magazines, every issue of all the three, and I gave them away to a young bodybuilder in my gym before I moved to Colorado, because the box was quite heavy, as you can imagine. So, but boy, what I wouldn't give to have those now. Okay, inside this book, when Bill gave me a copy of this book, because for basically 2 years, Bill and I worked on this book on Sundays when the gym was closed. We would meet at the gym, and I would take photographs for all the exercises in here, and you're going to see it's quite extensive. And so it took a couple of years to do that, and Bill showed his appreciation by giving me a copy of his book, and which was a pretty costly book, actually, and you can still get it, and it'll cost you, what some people will say, oh, that's too much for a book on bodybuilding, but it's like having a course by the master himself teaching you, so it's worth every penny. And inside the book, there's he had a letter addressed to me, Mr. Steve Green, Big Medicine, Bill Pearl's gym. He is, he's still alive, he's in his 80s. He's part Indian, Native American, however you want to call it there, and so that was his logo that he had on his letters and envelopes. And inside here, it's a nice letter from Bill, his card, Bill and Judy Pearl, owners, 100 South Michigan Avenue, is where they live, but the street was at the gym was actually on Green Street at the corner of Green and Michigan. In fact, at one point, early on when I started training there, I actually moved into an apartment building right next. It was Bill and Judy's address is 100 South Michigan. The address of my apartment was 110 South Michigan. I literally walked out of the parking lot of my apartment building and right over into the gym. And Bill wrote to me here, Mr. Steve Green. He was quite formal in this letter. I want to thank you for the many hours you gave me in putting this book together. I'm sure you realize that it would have been impossible for me to do this on my own, and without you and a couple of others, it would have been a disaster. There is little I can do to repay you, but to thank you from my heart. At any time I can be of assistance to you, you know you can count on me. Thanks again, Bill. Okay, this is really nice, and that's all I needed. This book here is a classic, and especially this one here, because and there's a picture of Bill in the front of the book. This is kind of a classic, at least to me, because he autographed it here for me. To Steve, thank you for the years of effort you helped me with on this book, Bill Pearl. And this guy is a legend, and so I'm really proud to have this book. And one of the fellows he thanks here is Leo Stern at the beginning. Leo helped him with a lot of stuff. Now here we have acknowledgments page, and Joe Weider, He has here the King of Bodybuilders. He and his brother Ben founded the IFBB, International Federation of Bodybuilders. And at the time Bill won his Mr. Universe titles, over the years he was doing that, the IFBB was just getting started, basically. And so the Mr. Olympia wasn't even, well, it wasn't on the radar. It was just in its infant years. But the NABA Mr. Universe had been going on for quite a long time, since the 50s. Okay, and there's Bill sitting at his desk. That's exactly what he looked like the day I went in and joined his gym, and he talked to me. And that was before he won his 4th title. Okay, here in the front it has the titles he won here. Here's the table of contents page. Titles won, author's note, about the author, introduction, women and weight training, conduct, becoming a champion, you are what you think, the what, where, why of exercise, muscles and energy, nutrition and virility, anabolic steroids, exercises for champion physiques, proper breathing for weight training. He talks about Sandow and Pearl, Eugene Sandow, Hercules muscle chart, prolong your productive years. I mean, that's what we're talking about here in this Iron Vegan series. Introduction to abdominal section, chest section, shoulder section, back section, tricep section, bicep section, thigh section, calf section, neck section, forearm section, physical display, in other words, how to pose, Pearl's contest career, some students and some friends, the heart and weight training, summary list of nutrition, general weight training glossary. I mean, this book is 637 pages long, and maybe I didn't show you how thick it was, but you can see that this thing is huge. And this is a good investment. If you're serious about bodybuilding, this is an outstanding investment. There's a picture of Bill posing at Mr. Universe.
I would say if you're serious about exercise and utilizing weights in exercise for general health or for athletic performance in general, this is an investment that people would want to make. Okay, this is a severely detailed, excellent book on weight training. There are textbooks that you will see for physical therapy and personal training and everything that are less detailed than this book is and less informative than this book is on weight training.
First competition. There's Bill when he started. He was born in Prineville, Oregon, and there he is posing again. Here are some pictures taken at his old gym, I believe. First photo of Bill to appear in a physical culture magazine when he was even younger than he was then. Here's, I hope I didn't have that hanging down there. Here's his ranch house that he had. Now he did stunts where he would blow up a hot water bottle. He had this fella here covering his eyes. He would blow that up and, like tear license plates. Bill did a lot of different kinds of things. Bill wrote this, it is my hope that this fitness guide will help you to live life to its most exciting potential. I believe that it can. Okay, and so he's talking about goals, and here's this picture of Arnold. Says Arnold Schwarzenegger jokingly trying to talk Bill out of his 1971 Mr. Universe trophy. This was in his gym when you first walked in from Green Street. He had his office, then he had this room here that he had trophies and different displays in, and that's Arnold talking to him. You can see how young Arnold looks back at that time. Oh my gosh, here's J. Paul Getty. There's Bill sitting next to him there. And you can see Bill is a pretty tough looking guy there in that picture. There's Bill and Arnold on stage at a Mr. Universe contest. And there he is with some females back in the day. Why you should exercise, what is proper exercise. Says one of the most powerful bodybuilders of all time, Bill could bend large tent spikes and horseshoes with his bare hands. And there he's on stage, Bill bending a nail or whatever about this big in diameter. Tough guy, tough guy. Very nice though, very humble fellow, and I felt immediately at home with him when I joined his gym in 1970 or 71, whenever it was. Nutrition and virility. So he goes through and the high protein diet myth. Okay, gee, that sounds kind of like some of the stuff we're talking about. He was a lacto-ovo vegetarian. He wasn't a pure vegetarian, or what they call a vegan like I am, but he was on the right track. Here he's talking about anabolic steroids, and he gives a limited weight training program, intermediate, advanced weight training program for physique contest. Okay, here's Sandow and Pearl. I think he's actually taking some classic photos of Eugene Sandow, the old timer. Eugene Sandow is who the trophy is named after for the IFBB Mr. Olympia contest. So there he is, kind of old-time posing, mustache, and the same kind of boots as Eugene wore back in the day. And there, similar pictures. He was doing some comparisons. Here's Eugene with a club or something, and Bill with a barbell. And it's kind of fun to look at this. Anatomy chart. Prolong your productive years. Okay, and this is where it starts into the different sections. The abdominal section shows where the abdominals are, some equipment needed for doing abdominal work. And now, okay, this book is full of these images that show thousands of exercises for the entire body. And I'm not going to dwell on any one of them right now. In chest section, basically, Bill just wanted this book to be illustrated. So each of these illustrations were drawn by a lady named Joan Pledger, who was a gym member, and she was also an artist. But Bill wanted to have line drawings rather than photographs. So Bill and I spent a couple of years on Sundays taking these pictures, a few thousand pictures, I guess. I don't know how many of your pictures are in here. Got to be a few thousand, I suppose, because there's over 600 pages in the book. And then I would have the pictures developed, and Bill would then hand them over to Joan, and Joan would draw the line art, shoulder section. She would draw the line art for each of the photographs I took. So, yeah, I spent a lot of time with Bill there doing this, every exercise he could think of. So basically, and there were some exercises that we came up with at the spur of the moment. We said, well, how about this variation, Bill? And he said, yeah, okay. And then we would do something like that. And so there is a lot here, a lot. And some of the...
So Bill Pearl wrote a book called 20 Months to a Championship Physique. And 8 months of that program is available for free. You don't even really need to buy the book. You're going to get a lot, especially if you're not a professional bodybuilder. You're going to get great gains with just these 8 months. But this is what I wanted to show people. So this is how nice the guy is. He allows this, and you're going to see how detailed this is. I'm not going to go through all 8 months, but they'll be linked in the description. I strongly encourage people to go to his website. I strongly encourage people to essentially buy Keys to the Inner Universe as well as other books of his, and really look into this gentleman. He is an amazing person. So what I want to show you is how detailed this is for free. Okay? So this is for free. He's offering this on his website. It's giving you the exercise, the sets and reps. Now that's not all. Look at the, remember, the leg extension was invented by who? The leg extension machine was invented by Jack LaLanne. But look at the detail that you get, the explanation. This is free from his website. This is month 1. Now this I will explain a little bit. This is a dumbbell pullover. I do these frequently. They're part of my regular weight routine. Some people call them skull crushers. The goal is not to crush your head. Don't crush your skull. But they condition the lats, the arms, the chest, and the abdominals. Okay? They're a very good exercise. Standing triceps curl. Now, I do these a little differently. Some of these are done differently nowadays. But this is an excellent book for people that really are serious about weight training for physical performance and health. Okay? Look at the detail that he's offering you. This is month 2 that he's offering. Again, look at the details that he's offering you here. This is a calf machine. Look at this. Barbell pullover, side lateral raise, lat pull down. Now this is funny. This goes back to the days when they didn't have lat pull down machines. They had pulley machines, and you would have to improvise by doing things like kneel. Side bends. Abdominal crunches or sit-ups. Sit-ups, he does sit-ups like I do sit-ups because of the benefits to the whole body, the abdominals, the lower back, etc. It gives you a stretch and everything else, stretch and strengthens. Okay, so that's enough of that. I'm going to get to Bill Pearl answering some health questions for folks. So this is Bill Pearl answering some people's fitness questions. Let's see what he has to say. Now this video you can find at Skiboo Night on YouTube.
No, I only train 2 hours a day, Mr. Brook. I've been on that. But then again, you have to understand, I've done this for the last 55 years, so that's a different ballgame. But what if a person, you can overtrain. There's no question that you can overdo anything in your life. But here again, if a person walks in and say, I get this, you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Say, oh man, today's squat day. I get a squat today. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Man, if it's 10 o'clock, I'm going to be there squatting. You've probably got yourself a problem. You should probably get off the squats and try something else. That's not a good idea. If it's get you up at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're overtraining. Way in the back.
Yeah, when you're training for mass, what would be the optimum length of your workout should be, and how many days a week should you rest?
Okay, the comment there is if you're training for mass, how long should your workouts be, and when your rest days are, along those type of lines. There again, there is no guidelines or rules to weight training. There's probably isn't anybody in this room that trains the same and everybody makes good progress. So the bottom line of it is you should keep a record of everything that you do and find out what works best for you and then go from there.
So he's talking about the importance of understanding your body and how you respond to different types of training and nutrition and things of that nature. So let's let him continue.
Don't just randomly take any program you see in a magazine and shoot for that thinking that's going to do the job for you because some world-class athlete does this. Most of those guys in magazines are going to grow if they stood in the corner just bounced up and down in their head, you're going to respond. So you can't use those as a criteria as to what you're going to do. So keep track of what you're doing, keep records of what you're doing, and then you'll...
So with that, he's talking about genetically gifted folks, like world-class athletes. What he's saying is they're going to respond to training very easily, whereas the average person may not. And he wants people to understand that you can't go by what world-class athletes are doing for various reasons. He's talking, I believe, about genetic giftedness, but also there's, steroid use.
Find out for yourself what works best for you. Yes.
You hear that it's never too old to get started, or you too young to get started. You also started, 10 years ago?
Yes.
Do you recommend that?
He asked, is it probably never too old to get started? Is it perhaps too young to get started? And I think the answer is probably yes. I would wait till a child got into manhood or womanhood before I started on a weight training program. And then I would do it under supervision. I would not let the kids see how much they can bench press or how much they can squat or how much they can deadlift. The smart thing to do is manage these kids.
Anybody that's taught children athletic endeavors knows that the one problem you have with kids is they will become very competitive. They will want to see how strong they are, how powerful they are, how much more endurance they have. And without supervision, there is a risk of the child hurting themselves. So he is right, I think, in that respect.
Very, very closely. And in my opinion, you should probably tell them, hey, look, if you're interested in Pop Warner football or whatever it may be, we can make you a better soccer player, whatever, better basketball player. If you lift weights, you'll become a better athlete. And I would push them towards team-type sports, not individual sports.
But you did start at 10?
I started at 10, but there again, I had nobody tell me I should have done that. Yes, Chris.
Free weights versus machines. What do you think?
Okay. The comment is free weights versus machines. I believe in free weights, and I also believe in machines, and I think the older people were probably more prone to using machines rather than free weights because it's easier on your skeletal structure. As an example, we were doing a lot of hammer strength exercises this morning. You're in the machine, you can't do anything wrong other than push and pull, and your body's supported, so there's probably less chance of injuries. But if you're looking for variety and a lot of probably growth and more of an incentive type thing, barbells and dumbbells are probably better. And if I had young kids like these here and I got them on a program, I would definitely start them out with barbells and dumbbells rather than on the machines. Yes.
Have you found yourself going more to machines as you get older than using the free weights?
He's asked the question, have I found myself going more to machines? Chris can ask that he trained with us today. The answer is yes, I have. Everything on me hurts. I say, geez, I got a bad elbow. What do I do to correct my elbow? I say, go out and hurt your knee. Your knee hurts so bad your elbow. That's the fallacy we go by. Yes, ma'am.
Are there any special pointers for women attempting to do weight training?
She asked, are there any special tips?
This is important. Too many women think that weight training is for men only and that women can't lift weights. He's going to answer this, but what women need to understand is weight training is good for everyone. People should know this. Like physical therapy that utilizes strength conditioning is good for everyone. Strength conditioning prevents injuries. Strength conditioning helps make you mobile for longer. Strength conditioning helps you perform better in your daily life. So let's see what he has to say about it.
For women to do weight training, and the answer is no. The women's body works just like the men's body, and anything that's good for a man is good for you, and vice versa. The main thing is to spend some time on yourself every day, quality time on yourself every day. And most women, if you just watch your eating habits relatively closely and just keep toned up, you'll do just fine. No. Yes, Chris?
Now, you're a vegetarian. What kind of food do you eat to get your energy and stuff like that?
Well, I'm what they call
So he's going to talk about the vegetarian diet he follows.
lacto-ovo-vegetarian. Yeah, he made the comment, I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat any fish, fowl, or red meat, and I haven't the last 30, 35 years. I have some dairy products in my diet. I eat a lot of eggs, low-fat cottage cheese, yogurt, low-fat cheeses. I eat a lot of lentils, beans, brown rice, baked potatoes, those types of things, and a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables, and that's it. If I'm real good, my wife might give me some popcorn, and that's all. I live a very Spartan life. It's ridiculous.
No dessert.
Sometime. Yeah.
you eat the egg yolks?
He asked if I ate egg yolks. Yes, I eat egg yolks. Yes. I'm not worried about the cholesterol. Yes, ma'am.
How good is a dairy-free diet for you? My son is completely vegetarian, now he's cut out all dairy products.
She asked the comment, how good is a dairy-free diet? If as a bodybuilder, you're probably going to have a problem simply because he's not going to consume enough legumes and so on to get ample protein.
Now, before I close out this video, notice he did mention he's not going to get enough legumes and such. But what you need to understand is you can very well be a vegan and put on muscle mass, and I'm going to show that with a sample vegan bodybuilder diet. There's also professional bodybuilders that are vegan, such as Natalie Matthews and people of that nature. I might cover some Natalie Matthews and other people like that in later videos too.
For muscular growth and repair, I would try to keep some type of dairy product in my diet if I want to be a bodybuilder to make any noticeable progress. I would probably do that. Being a vegan and a bodybuilder is probably not a good idea. You'll be fit, you can run marathons. A guy could run forever and never drop dead from a heart attack, but he's not going to look like anything other than a marathon runner. Yes, sir.
What do you think about meal replacement products like Metrics?
He asked what I think about meal replacement products like Metrics. I just wish I owned the company Metrics. I wouldn't be here talking about it.
That's Metrex, M-E-T-R-X. For some reason it showed up as Metrics.
It's like anything else. You need an ample amount of protein in your diet, but you don't need an assorted amount of protein. And this has been going on, this protein thing has been going on for years. And all the amino acids.
Now, I do believe in 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight because that's what's shown to reverse and prevent sarcopenia. But let's hear what Bill has to say. Now, remember, carbohydrates are protein sparing, which means they help you keep a positive nitrogen balance. But the thing is, in my opinion, you do need 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight because that's what's recommended and that's what's shown by science to prevent and reverse sarcopenia. But let's hear what Bill has to say about that.
You can get, the only thing that you don't get amino acids from is air and water. And if you're eating good natural foods that we're eating, you're getting 35 to 40 to 50 grams of protein per day. That could be enough for most of anybody in this room. So you don't need 200 and 300 grams of protein per day to grow muscle. But you need quality program with all the essential amino acids. Yes, ma'am.
When you eat your vegetarian diet, do you pay attention to complementary amino acids to make sure that you get the proper mix? Like beans have 1 set, and I forget what they go with, wheat or something.
She made the idea, do I plan my diets very, very closely? Don't I? And no, my wife does all that. That's why I look.
Remember what I said when Jack LaLanne was on? Behind every great man is a greater woman, and this is going to prove that. He's going to talk about everything his wife does for him. This is the truth. Okay, so keep that in mind. Let's see what he says about his wife.
I get shorts and I open the drawer, I got socks in there, I got t-shirts there, it's phenomenal. So I don't fool with any of that stuff. That's my wife's job. But I really think you can get carried away. But I wouldn't do meal planning such as that. If you're eating from the 5 basic food groups and other than the meats, and you're getting some type of a dairy product in your diet, I don't think you'll ever have a protein deficiency in your body, ever. Yes?
What is doing strength training with shoulders, should concentrate more on the presses and less on exercises like front raises and side laterals.
He made the comment, if you're training for strength for the shoulders or overhead military presses, probably better than side laterals. I'm just curious, what do you do for a living? What do you do? Are you?
Well, I'm self-employed.
Okay. Are you a trainer?
No.
You got some pretty heavy-duty questions and all typed out. I'm going to get in trouble with you before it's over. Probably the military presses would probably be better because it works all of the 3 heads of the deltoid rather than the side laterals. And there again, if you want to get strong, get big shoulders, push heavy weights overhead, that's exactly what's going to happen. Your body responds to workloads. If you sit all day as a secretary.
So here he's talking about hormesis, okay? That's a fancy way of saying stress adaptation, okay? So he's talking about exercise-induced hormesis, okay? Remember, I talk about this a lot because hormesis is what activates the longevity genes. So let's see what he has to say. We know more now than we did in 1997.
And any secretary tells me what grows if you sit all day. Okay. Your body responds to workloads. It gets big because it's easier to sit on. Same thing with your body. The stronger you are, the more you push, the bigger, better you're going to get. Plain and simple. Yes.
What do you think about you get a positive nitrogen balance like you said, 30 to 45 grams of protein, but would that be enough to give you a positive nitrogen balance? And I mean, if you've done some real serious, intensive training, you're going to need some protein. I was just wondering the amount.
If you'll sit down and analyze, go to any doctor, any sports medicine doctor, he can tell you probably anywhere between 50 and 60 grams of protein will do just exactly what you want to do. And you've got to understand that you can gain weight on protein.
Now, the thing that he's explaining, and this is true, like I said, carbohydrates are protein sparing. So people do have to understand that protein and carbohydrates both play a role in athletic performance. It's not just protein.
Just as you can a carbohydrate or a fat, it's a fuel that your body can burn. And if you don't use it for protein for muscular growth and repair, you will store it as fat. So you can overdo protein like you can do anything else. And I'll be right with you 1 second. Another comment too. There's a lot of people who load up heavy on vitamins and minerals. I mean, take handfuls of stuff every day. My comment to you is, once your body has all the vitamins and minerals and protein that it can use, it then has to be kicked out of your system because it then becomes as harmful as an anabolic steroid.
Now, I don't agree with him with that. I don't believe, in some cases that is true with things like vitamin A. Vitamin A can be deadly, as can an overdose of vitamin D. So a lot of the fat-soluble vitamins and some of the B vitamins and some minerals like selenium and things of that nature, you can overdo them. But for most of the water-soluble vitamins, especially vitamin C is extremely benign. But I want to remind people, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an RN, I'm not an LPN, I'm not a nurse practitioner, I'm none of that stuff. But for the most part, with the water-soluble vitamins, you're pretty much okay. There's a couple of the B vitamins that you might have minor issues with, especially niacin can cause liver damage. But let's hear what he has to say. I do agree partially, because there are a lot of the fat-soluble vitamins, and of course niacin, too much niacin can damage the liver. But let's hear what he has to say here.
So if you're loading up heavy on all these types of health foods and saying, man, this is great, I'm taking 50 liver and yeast tablets per day, I'm loading up on this, I'm loading up that, that could be as big a...
Notice he's mentioning liver. Now, the reason that's important to understand is, remember what I said, that's how primitive man overdosed on vitamin A, was eating too much liver. And a lot of people will pop liver tablets, especially in Bill Pearl's day and age and back in the 90s here. People would take a lot of desiccated liver tablets, and they can be damaging to the health. And in fact, you can overdose on vitamin A, which can be very dangerous.
Problem on your glands and organs is if you were taking an anabolic steroid. You've got to be very, very careful not to overdo a health food product, just as you do anything else in life. Your body can only handle so much, and that's it. I have a question way in the back. Yes.
Sometimes your schedule doesn't allow for food preparation. Those products that you're talking about, would you agree that they're a good substitute and not get something else?
Yeah, he made the comment. Yes, I'm not knocking health foods. I have my own line of health foods. I sell it all over the United States, so I'm not telling you that health foods are not a good idea, and I'm not telling you that a protein food supplement isn't a good idea. But if you listen very, very closely, it says it's a protein food supplement. It's to supplement your diet. So if you're having problems getting up late, you're not eating properly, a food supplement is just fine. Well, I'm saying take a pound of that per day is probably not a smart thing to do. That's what I'm trying to do. Use everything in moderation. That's the answer. Your weight training, everything about you should be done in moderation, in my opinion. You have another question?
Moderation, another term for temperance. Remember, temperance is one of the 8 Adventist laws of health. So he's going back to the concepts that were promoted by folks like Jack LaLanne, Paul Bragg, Ellen White, Dr. John Harvey Kellogg, etc. This was very popular at that time. So you have to understand that this is about total health. This is not about just building big biceps and a big chest. This is about cultivating total health.
Could you explain the effects of cardiovascular exercise on muscle growth, fat loss, etc.?
He made the comment, could I explain the cardiovascular training on muscular growth and fat loss and so on? I can to a degree, but there again, it's a long and consuming very type of a thing to understand for everybody. But what you should theoretically do is on the bicycles and stuff that you're riding or anything you're doing for cardiovascular training, you should get into what they call your target heart rate. Now, everybody's target heart rate changes. As you're younger, your target heart rate may be 130 beats per minute to burn fat. As you grow older, maybe like Mr. McGarmer here, maybe 110 beats per minute. He can do the same job because your whole metabolic rate slows down. And by staying on the bike, pedaling along like this, those types of training, you would burn more fat in your diet. But if you're looking for the difference between cardiovascular training and resistance weight training, you could probably do the same amount doing just resistance weight training. As an example, if a person gets on a stationary bicycle, like Skibo bought a new recumbent bike the other day, if any of you are using this bike and you sit on that bike every day, 30 minutes a day, and you pedal away at 100 beats per minute or whatever it may be, you're cranking away, you will lose some fat to begin with. But your body then commences to acclimate so well to that particular workload, after a period of time, you're virtually wasting your time sitting on that bike 30 minutes per day. You'd be better off to get on a stair climber, go out and walk, do anything else, but just don't keep doing the same cardiovascular workout day after day after day. You'll no longer continue to respond. Yes, Mr. Montgomery.
Bill, on that same line, don't you find it necessary to change your workout very regularly? Your body gets used to whatever it is, and your progress slows down.
Yeah. He made the comment, is the same thing goes with your resistance weight training. You should change your training programs all the time as well. You should probably change every 2 or 3
Remember, Jack LaLanne stated this, that he would change his clients' programs every 30 days.
months, at least that much, maybe every 6 weeks. Change the programs around. Change your sets, change your repetitions, change all that. It's not a good idea because your body does acclimate to workloads. Yes?
What would be the best amount of reps to do, like when you're training for mass?
The best amount of reps, in my opinion, to train for mass is probably as low as 6, maybe between 6 and 8, but no less than 6 and no more than 8 and 10 at the most. Yes?
You mentioned earlier about cholesterol, that was not a concern of yours. Is cholesterol overblown as a bad thing, or is it because you're vegetarian you don't get cholesterol from any other source?
Yeah, he made that I wasn't concerned about my cholesterol. Well, I'm not really concerned about my cholesterol because I keep all the animal fat out of my diet, other than the dairy products that I do eat. And I don't smoke, I don't drink. I load up on vitamin C. I try to keep as much stress out of my diet or my life as I possibly can. So even though my cholesterol is high, it's not one of my big concerns in life. Yes, it's because of my eating habits and my lifestyle. But people should be concerned about the cholesterol level. Yes. Yes. Yes, sir.
Do you believe that everybody's body more or less has a natural maximum limit that you can get to in weight training? And if you try to push beyond that, are you increasing your risk of injury?
Now, here he's going to talk about genetic limitations, and this is a very real thing, but you have to remember, and I think he's going to explain this if I remember properly, genetic limitations, people can push themselves to most people can achieve quite a great deal through, exercise, okay? Many people can achieve quite a great deal of success through exercise. Your genetic limitations are generally much, much, much further than you think. Remember, you are the product of millions of years of evolution. You exist as the result of millions of years of evolution. Your genetics are probably far superior than you think. You just have to be doing the right things to stress the body properly through hormesis, meaning the right exercises. You need to be eating the right foods, getting the right raw materials, and you might find out your genetic limitations are not as limiting as you think.
So question, he made the comment, do I believe that everybody has a maximum they can reach, and if you commence to push beyond that, doing more and more than your body can handle, are you more prone towards injury? And of course the answer is yes. I really mean it. The thing that's going to throw most of us people in this room out of the sport of bodybuilding or a wellness program is that we get bored with our exercises, we end up injuring ourselves. If you're bored with what you're doing, you injure yourself and you can't exercise, you're out the door, and it's very, very difficult to start back. So the common sense is I would probably work between 80 and 85 or 90% of my maximum effort at all time, and I don't believe to train to failure. I think that's a giant mistake.
Now this is important. Training to failure, I think, is a big mistake also. Back in the day, we used to train, like how I was taught to train by my grandfather, was you train until you break form. Not until you're in failure, but until you break form. pre-failure, I guess is what you'd call it. That's what some people call it. So it's like if you're doing push-ups, you do push-ups, you watch your form's perfect. When you can't do a good push-up, that's when you quit it. You don't want to risk injuring yourself. Working to failure is increasing your risk of injury, and you shouldn't be increasing your risk of injury. Once you injure yourself, you're screwed. You ain't exercising, you ain't doing nothing, and then how you going to get back to it? You get back to it, you lost all the gains you had.
Try to see how many singles I get in my training anymore. That doesn't impress me at all anymore. I just can't do it. My skeletal structure just won't handle it. And another thing today is very important is to training to failure. Mike mentioned train to failure on all of your exercises until you just have to have some guy pull the bar off your chest. And a lot of people today feel that's just the only way that they should train. And my comment is that that's a foolish thing, the way to train, simply because if you do 5 or 6...
So he mentioned Mike Menser, and he's saying that's a foolish way to train, where you're training to failure to the point where you have to have somebody pull the bar off your chest. It's just not, it's not good for you. It just isn't. But let's hear what he has to say.
10 exercises and you fail every time you do it. And you walk out the door and I said to Chris, how'd you do today? He said, geez, I failed 10 times a row, Bill. I feel like $1 million. How can you psychologically make progress with failure after failure after failure? The comment is to leave something in the gym every day so you can go back and pick it up and do better than you did the day before. Never less, but always more. Then you'll continue to stay down the ski wheels and be back here another 10 years.
So before closing out the video, I did want to go over a vegan bodybuilder's diet. Okay, so here we go. This is a sample menu and everything for a vegan bodybuilder. Summary: the vegan bodybuilding diet is high in fruits, vegetables, and plant-based protein. It excludes all animal-based products and is usually higher in protein than a traditional vegan diet. I think every vegan's diet should be higher in protein than a traditional vegan diet, honestly. Fill up on high-protein foods. I am getting away from tofu myself, and getting away from soy products. For whatever reason, I'm not responding to them properly. It's not any estrogenic effects or anything like that. It's just more like indigestion, things like that. I'm not responding to faux meats or tofu or things like that like I used to, and therefore I don't eat them anymore. I do fill up more on high-fiber legumes and things of that nature. Make sure you're getting enough fat. This is where things like canola oil, olive oil, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, that's where these things come in. Get your healthy fats. Drink plenty of fluids, of course. Educate yourself. Implementing the vegan bodybuilding diet requires a good deal of planning and education, ensuring adequate protein and calorie intake, including plenty of fat, blah, blah, blah. Potential benefits of a vegan diet: reduces heart disease risk, can promote healthy body weight. This is linked in the description, of course, so you can check it out on your own. May protect against certain cancers. The vegan bodybuilding diet is rich in fruits, vegetables, and can provide several health benefits such as lowering heart disease risk and cancer risk, as well as promoting a healthy body weight. Some downsides, of course, there's downsides. With this, I recommend supplementing, of course. You want to, I don't think you need to supplement with omega-3s, but like I myself, I take a multivitamin with iron. Okay, I take B12, I take B-complex, I take extra folate, even though you do get folate, but I do take extra B vitamins. Everybody, in my opinion, and again, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not anything like that, but and most people should be taking extra B vitamins and extra B12 and extra folate anyway. They're claiming the high fiber intake is a downside. I don't. Everybody wants to talk about our hunter-gathering ancestors. Our hunter-gathering ancestors consumed 100 grams of fiber a day. They're saying it promotes flatulence, etc. With this, you should take dietary enzymes and also simethicone, as what I take. Now, again, not a dietitian, not a nutritionist, not a pharmacist. I'm not telling you to take medications, but with me, I take simethicone if I experience any type of bloating or things of that nature. I do take simethicone, which is an anti-gas drug. Again, not telling you to take drugs. Talk to your pharmacist about simethicone. Talk to your doctor about simethicone, whatever. And also, I take digestive enzymes, particularly cellulase, different fiber digesting enzymes. It is not really that hard to meet your protein requirements as long as you're eating a lot of protein-rich foods. And it may be that this is why I never promoted veganism, and I don't know any vegans in my real life, honestly. But I don't promote veganism for health because too many people overly restrict their diets, and when you overly restrict your diet, a lot of people start becoming anorexic. I don't promote that, but then again, the vegan diet is far less restrictive than something, say, the carnivore diet or something of that nature. Okay, foods to eat: beans and legumes, hemp, flax, sunflower and chia seeds, quinoa, amaranth, meat substitutes, soy products, calcium now remember I said I'm getting away from soy products and meat substitutes, but calcium fortified plant milks and yogurts, spirulina, vegan protein powders, nutritional yeast, sprouted grain. I don't think you need sprouted grain breads, just whole grains I think are fine. Oats, oatmeal, blah blah blah, fruit and vegetables, whole grains and cereals, nuts and nut butters, tahini, healthy oils, vegan dark chocolate. Now the dark chocolate I eat, like Lindt dark chocolate, it doesn't have milk as a primary ingredient, but it may contain trace amounts of milk, one of those things. Okay, dietary supplements, of course, you should supplement if you're a vegan. Don't fall into that trap of the natural, appeal to nature nonsense. What you wouldn't be eating on a vegan bodybuilding diet, you wouldn't be eating animal foods. Foods that might not be vegan friendly, vegan junk food you don't want to be eating. Mock meats and cheeses you probably wouldn't be eating too much of, just because they're not particularly the healthiest. This is breakfast oatmeal, lunch. Now you can click this on your own, but this is a sample menu. You can see what a vegan bodybuilder would probably eat. And that's all for this video.